Throughout the 1970s, Welsh sports was dominated by the oval ball. But an iconic national football team was about to embark on an incredible European campaign, an achievement which would sadly be forgotten.
There was a lot of things that was buzzing about Wales at that time. And sport played a big part also.
The rugby team, let's be honest, they were flying our national flag.
They were possibly the greatest team in the world.
We were very fortunate to have a number of extremely talented players all at the same time.
The football team was just starting to emulate that. You could put John Toshek in the same sentence as Gareth Edwards. And then the kit.
It didn't look the normal kit, did it? If you see that anywhere now, it'll bring Wales to your mind, won't it?
Not only were we successful, I think the manner in which we achieved those successes played a huge part in making it very popular. I suppose by comparison, football then had a difficult track to follow.
Wales went into the 1976 European qualifiers on the back of a disappointing run of results, which saw them finish last in the home nations. It's fair to say, going into those qualifiers, expectations were low.
There would have been very little fanfare about Wales' involvement in the European Championships of 1976.
I think the way that we viewed the tournament was a necessary evil.
The biggest danger, I think, was thinking that some of these more obscure places was an easy place to go and get a result, when in actual fact, they were far more difficult.
It was viewed with, I guess, very little hope.
We had nothing to judge the tournament against, so that's the way it was back then. So you played all these round-robin matches, and then if you did qualify, it was, the quarterfinals were played on a home and away basis. That's what it was.
We knew we had a difficult group. Austria, we played first of all. I would think that them and Hungary were the two favourite teams.
I think we were seeded to finish 3rd out of 4 in that group. And I think that's pretty much where we saw it.
Wales lost their first game of the campaign 2-1 away in Austria, conceding 2 deflected goals.
And that person who deflected both of them was myself.
It was a game we came away from having lost, but thinking, yeah, we can compete at this level.
Following a poor run of 2 wins in 10 matches, Dave Bowen was replaced by Mike Smith, Wales's first full-time manager.
He just came in and changed everything completely, being organised about how your back four should defend and how your midfield, and perhaps the team was a bit more structured than what Dave had.
Mike certainly was sure that he wanted to be a sound defence, and he had some players coming through, Ian Evans and John Roberts, and there were various people who filled the bill for him.
It was very tactical. It was all about patterns, and you had to do this, had to do that, and everybody had to do their own job, and if we all do this, that will happen.
I knew Mike because I'd been involved in the youth systems when Mike was technical director. So I knew how good Mike was in terms of coaching and tactics. Instantly, the senior pros knew exactly, Terry Hollis, John Tosher, this fella knows his stuff.
Mike Smith had this coaching background, teaching background, and you could tell that there was something different happening to the style of play. You go back and look at those matches and we're passing.
The senior players saying, he's made a difference, Mike, not only to on the field, but off the field as well. How we travel, what we were wearing, travelling, the hotels we were staying in, the facilities we were training at, everything was upgraded. That's not decrying anything that Dave Bowen did, because he was part-time. But to have a full-time manager was a key period in Welsh football.
Hungary, you remember the teams of the 50s, and you think, well, that's a proper, footballing nation.
They had, of course, been a fantastic side in the 50s, probably the best team in the world.
They weren't the Magyars of old, of Puskás and Di Stefano. They weren't that then, obviously.
But they were no mugs, when they were fully expected to win the group.
It was a dark and dreary night, and 8,000 or 9,000 turned up.
It was a game we always felt comfortable. And we were all sitting in the dressing room after the game thinking, we're as good as this lot, we're better than most of this lot. We never had a fear of, oh, we're little Wales, we've created a shock here.
I think beating Hungary was possibly the turning point for the team, but also for the fans, and thinking, if we can beat them, well, maybe we can beat them all.
After the Hungary game, where we won by 2, I remember badgering my old man into going down to Swansea.
I think getting a ticket for the Luxembourg match probably wasn't very difficult. We probably paid on the gate.
I think it was a very wet, very miserable night.
It was another day where it seemed to be raining in Wales.
It was a monsoon, a quagmire. The pitch was like the Somme.
We thought, hang on, if we don't beat this lot, we don't deserve to qualify.
Well, we're playing Luxembourg. I mean, our school side could probably beat Luxembourg because they were Luxembourg. Of course we were going to stuff them.
And we did, and won by 5 goals.
If you're scoring goals, if you're watching your team score 5, it's a nice evening. Even though we were soaked, I remember that much driving home, we were soaked.
So, beat Luxembourg, final. This is really happening, isn't it?
Budapest is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever had the privilege to go to. Fantastic. It was like a different world for some of us.
We turn up at this fantastic hotel on an island in the middle of the Danube. It's way above 5-star. This is my first trip away, so I think this is normal.
They had a very impressive record of victories at the Nep Stadion, which was their home ground.
So I think we knew it was going to be tough, but when you're riding a wave, it's really hard to be negative.
The game was remembered one of the worst penalties I've ever seen taken by a Welsh player, and that was John Toshak. It couldn't be classed as a penalty. It was that poor.
The goalkeeper had to run out to stop it. It was that poor a penalty.
And then he goes and scores from a great cross from Leighton James, low and hard across the 6-yard box, and tosses is lurking at the far post to score from 6 yards. Leighton got injured, and I'd come on for Leighton. And I did a link up, we did a little 1-2 with John Mahoney, and he's through on goal.
He won't thank me for bringing it to the attention of everyone, but he didn't get too many, and that was a little dink over the goalkeeper, and everything just was falling into place.
After the game, we thought, we've got a chance. We've got a chance of qualifying in this group.
We knew then that we were the best team in that group. We knew we could beat anybody.
Yeah, that's, I think, where the revolution continued and escalated in terms of belief that we can do something as a squad.
from Gil Rees and Leighton James secured a 3-1 win in Luxembourg.
Following the national side in the 1970s, you know, 74, 75, they used to spread it around a bit.
Most European countries do it now. They ship the games around, sometimes depending on the strength of the opposition, size of stadium needed.
Wales didn't have a national stadium to play their football matches in. In many ways, I think we were a bit jealous of the Cardiff Arms Park.
Of course, when Wales were being competitive in these European championships, wherever they played, they virtually played to a full capacity. Even though the grounds would have been a little smaller than the Cardiff Arms Park was at that time.
As a group, we were asked out of, I don't know why, where would you like to play? Out of 20 players, 20 said Wrexham.
The Swansea boys didn't like playing at Cardiff, and Cardiff didn't like playing at Swansea for obvious reasons, because of rivalry and whatever. So Wrexham was viewed by all of us probably as a neutral ground.
The pitch was always good. Not the vetch wasn't the greatest surface in the world, and Ninian wasn't great either. But Wrexham always seemed to be a really, really good pitch, and that's why we enjoyed playing on it.
So going to Wrexham was an unexpected thing, if I'm honest. School night, parents are both teachers. I'd taken a lot of time off because I was going back and forth to London to make records. But we had an opportunity because the GPO were running a bus from Swansea. I just remember getting on the bus and there were lots of crates of beer. The negotiating to get on the bus was quite difficult. As I say with my parents, you can take one day off. One day off, you go to school the next day. We agreed.
And it was another wet, windy evening up at Wrexham. But there were almost 30,000 people into this one, so the tide had very much swung in their favour in that respect.
You couldn't get 2 more people in the ground. It was that full.
The crowd made it as hostile an atmosphere as they could possibly get for a visiting team.
I couldn't even go. I was plaster of Paris up to my knee. But I listened to it on the radio and I just wish I could have got there.
And we felt, at home, Austria were no match for us. You know, last game of the group, at home, got to win. Our fans are behind us.
When you go into a game, you think, we're going to win this. And be confident you're going to win it as well. Not just not a hope, but we hope we win today. No, we will win today. That was the attitude amongst the squad. We will win today.
Looking back at that game in my memory, we played well. You know, we were passing the ball. Leighton Phillips is being beautiful at the back. John Mahoney's getting in right in the faces. Terry Orth's, you know, he's kicking anything that moves that's got a white shirt on. And then you get half time. Okay, so we're doing all right, 0-0, but we can't lose it. We must win.
Always be remembered for Arvan Griffiths, obviously. Being called into the squad, age 33, making his debut. And he gets the winning goal. Yeah, it's Roy the Rover stuff.
And then the final whistle. And the euphoria, because we had qualified since, 58, we'd heard all about 58, we had qualified.
There were some scenes afterwards, there were great scenes afterwards, I remember that. Everybody on the streets, it was just full, celebrating the victory.
So I missed out on a good night. And I know that they celebrated well into the night, as legend goes.
It was a quietly celebratory night that we enjoyed, the fruits of what we'd laboured.
And then the sudden realisation We got a 5-hour trip back to Swansea, and I got to get up and go to school in the morning.
I don't see where topping your group with a run of games, why that doesn't matter. A quarter-final is a quarter-final.
You know, to go for through a qualifying period and only lose one game and be the only British nation to qualify for the quarterfinals as well is often forgotten.
When you look at the teams that were in that group as well, I mean, I suppose you could say that the only weak link was Luxembourg, and they had quite a few good players in their team.
Oh, it was just unbelievable against the might of European football.
The underdog came good and won their group and qualified.
England weren't there, Ireland weren't there, Scotland weren't there. Wales was there in the quarterfinals of the European Championships.
Wales were drawn against Yugoslavia in the quarter-finals, with the first leg being played in Zagreb.
And we ended up with the team they were calling the Brazil of the Balkans.
Yugoslavia, well, Yugoslavia. I mean, I don't know who they had playing for them, but they must be good.
A tough team, we knew, but what are they?
Yugoslav, strong nations, not nation. It was a combination of how many? 5?
And we didn't realise that it made up from a number of smaller countries, all of whom were capable of beating anybody in Europe.
So they were an unknown, except that they were going to be good.
Maybe Mike Smith would have settled for a draw in that game if he was honest, and the players themselves would have taken a draw. As it happened, we were a bit unlucky. We went down to a goal on 40 blinking seconds.
You're thinking then, can't give away another goal because 2 goals perhaps is a little bit too much. And you're playing the whole game then, not to give away another goal and nick one yourself.
And then there was a rather sloppy one to make it 2-0 towards the end of the second half.
And we had 1 or 2 opportunities and did ourselves proud, but coming away losing 2-0, you think, well, against a team like Yugoslavia, perhaps that wouldn't be enough to get you through.
It was one of those games where you think, had we been lucky enough to get a goal back, that would have put a lot of difference on the thing.
But I didn't think they were anywhere near as good as us as a team, as a unit.
So at least we had something to aim for in the second leg at Cardiff.
You know, because we've been riding this wave, and everything seemed to be going for us, and we've got them at home. You know, it just felt that, okay, maybe we are up against it, maybe they are a good side, but nothing can stop us.
It was like something that had never much happened before in Wales, you know, at a football match. I mean, everybody was up for it. Everyone thought that Wales had a good chance of achieving something. And I think everyone then there with a positive attitude. I think the atmosphere was a credit.
And I remember stepping on, there was a big old banking of terrace with a huge cavernous roof, which echoed the sound, of course. And the floor beneath me was springing like a gymnasium or a sprung dance floor. But there was certainly an atmosphere. But it was a little bit daunting for a young kid.
It's the most memorable atmosphere I think I've ever come across in terms of danger as well.
I remember what it was like against Austria. Nobody could take on the Welsh crowd like that if we're playing at home, no matter who they are.
Yeah, we always fancied our chances. We had the players were good enough. He played an unusual system for that game because Leighton, Ian Evans and myself, who were all centre-backs, all played at the back, and he took out 1 or 2 really good players to accommodate us. But I think he just wanted to go for it and see whether he could get a result.
Mike had said that, like, it's an old cliche, the next goal is going to be the most important one in this tie. And most certainly if we get it, because I think the momentum could keep us going, and the tie most certainly is alive again.
They were given a dubious penalty, to say the very least.
a foul was given, I think, against one of our players, and the ball was rolling. And the ball carried on rolling, and the guy kicked it while it was rolling. The referee saw it, but let it go on, and they broke up there, up the other end of the field, and Malcolm Page went in for a tackle, and the referee gave a penalty. He was always going to give a penalty away, the referee. He was always going to try and find something. Of course, we've gone 1-0 down after about 10 minutes, which we didn't need to do.
But after that, of course, Ian Evans equalised rather quite quickly afterwards. So we were back on an even keel. We needed another 2 to take it to a replay. And it seemed entirely feasible, you know, Wales were going well.
I remember Brian Flynn playing really, really well. Tosh was up there. Leighton James, you know, doing all the tricks that Leighton James used to do. And it just felt like it was a matter of time.
We had 2 goals disallowed. One was a typical flying header by Toshak, for which was flagged for offside, and the other one was disallowed for a kind of scissor kick by John Mahoney prior to Toshak scoring, or so we thought, which really turned the atmosphere quite ugly.
To say there were strange decisions is an understatement during the game, very much so.
How many ways in East German do you know the word cheat? Or just call him Glockner, that's enough of a cheat.
I don't think when they're refereeing the game that people should be full of their own self-importance. It's about the football. People had turned up to see a competitive game, and he was there making his rules and regulations as he goes along.
There was exasperation amongst the crowd, who could clearly see he was having a bad day, whichever way you looked at it. This footage of Brian Flynn restraining a supporter who'd come on to have a pop at the referee.
I just happened to be in the way of this young lad, and you could look at his eyeballs, and it was anger. It was a complete anger, and if it had got to the referee, there would have been some damage. I must have calmed him down. Don't know how. It was my size, you know, so I physically couldn't stop him. I'm going to get the referee. I'm going to get the referee. I'm going to finish him. Come on, let's get it on. Off you go. Off you go. If the referee was hurt or injured from that game, Wales would not be playing now. He would have been banned from every class of football if something had happened that day. I just had to be in the way when he was running towards the thing.
It was a strange old day, and you became, as you say, aware of these things that were happening, you know, people piling onto the pitch, and there were no, you know, 100 stewards then in high-vis jackets coming to section off the pitch.
It was a build-up of events that eventually, it was like a volcano. It had to explode eventually.
Everything happened that you don't want to happen in football is what happened on that day, unfortunately.
All we wanted to do was get off the field. So I didn't remember, I know it was a very, very hostile atmosphere and a hostile reaction to Glockner.
We were playing against a great team and a really bad referee. So, you know, that's football fans always say that, don't they?
To be fair, I mean, a lot of people have said, oh, he lost us a game. He didn't. We lost the game.
He ruined our chances. But you can't blame one person, I suppose. We'd had a great campaign. Unfortunately, it was a sour ending. Bitterly sour. So that's our campaign over, but it was great to be part of.
Amid the chaos on the pitch, a fan picked up a corner flag and threw it at Glockner. They missed and hit a police officer instead.
I sat next to him in the dressing room, and he was just sat there, and he was as white as a sheet, and I did ask him how he felt, and I'd something wrong with him, mate, and he went, yeah, I've been stabbed, and he just pulled this thing back, and there's a big mark on his shoulder blade. So I knew something had happened, and of course the TV were there, and there are things played afterwards about one of the Yugoslav players was jumping up, trying to punch somebody and stuff like that. Yeah, it was quite a day. Quite a day.
Following the crowd trouble, the Football Association of Wales was banned from holding matches within 120 miles of Ninian Park.
Yeah, I think, losing the game and getting banned from home matches around Cardiff, it just, you're riding this wave. It's like a massive balloon of wonderfulness. And all of a sudden it's, and there's no wave and there's nothing left.
Yeah, we qualified as group winners, which was fantastic, great achievement. But we didn't actually win anything. We lost in the quarterfinals. That might sound a bit harsh, but it's a fact of life. It's there in black and white. Can't tell lies about it. We lost in the quarterfinals.
We were the underdogs and we came out on top against some good teams. I mean, Austria and Hungary particularly. And there was no recognition for it in history books of Welsh football.
I think 1976 has become a forgotten side, even though there were wonderful players there and they achieved so much.
I've got to admit, I didn't quite appreciate how important that would have been and how important it was. But it was a phenomenal feat, really, when you stop and think about it.
I think almost people, the media, sort of turned their back on the team for lots of different reasons. Losing's not good. Being banned's not good. Those crowd scenes in a time where football violence was very much a part of culture.
The rugby were just going great guns. The aftermath of the game was ugly, whichever way you look at it. Obviously the fact that we lost didn't help.
I think it'll be forgotten because of the bad scenes in the last game at Cardiff. People want to forget that.
Yeah, we've just got lost in history, really. And I think it's too late now.
For those people who were involved, they must be pretty choked that their achievement is forgotten. And I still don't quite understand why.
And so people moved on. The circus moved on and football was left behind. And then the rugby team start winning again really well. And yeah, you're not the story anymore.
Although the achievements of the team have been forgotten, that kit continues to inspire a national identity.
It didn't look the normal kit, did it?
Yellow and red and stripes and what have you. Yes, it was unlike anything else we'd ever had, which was just red and white shorts.
The kit was, this kind of mid-70s freak-out glam rock thing happening in football, which was great and a little bit crazy.
And I must admit, when I first saw it, it surprised me, but it made people notice. And I think the players were quite happy to be wearing it.
My first impression, this is only a personal impression, was where did that come from? That's a bit garish.
We didn't believe at the time, so we can't be wearing this. But you've just said it's become iconic. That shirt has become so inbuilt in Welsh football.
It was so righteous.
Red, yellow and green, you think. Where's the link there? But it goes back to that kit.
So that colour combination, as you say, it's the bucket hats, the paraphernalia, the scarves. A lot of the scarves now have red with a band of green and yellow on them. It's all going back to that team.
My daughters wear them when we go to international matches. And they've both got recognised for wearing Welsh shirts that are iconic. Now I'm beginning to accept, because my daughters are telling me those are iconic shirts.
I think the colour was what set it off as well, that yellow and green on red. It was dramatic. It was an instant recognisable piece.
Whoever designed that kit, with hindsight, was a genius, because he created a philosophy for Welsh sport, and those became the colours.
Well, it's an identification now of Wales, so if you see that anywhere now, it will bring Wales to your mind, won't it?